And welcome to Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I am Tim Capper. You can find me on X at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on X or Twitter or Twix, whatever you want to call it, at Cliffy D.
Welcome to the Heat Dome.
It's getting hot in here, but we're not taking off all our clothes. As I have mentioned numerous times, we are trying so desperately hard to keep this a PG show.
Yes. And obviously, we're sweltering here in the East Coast, and we feel for our fellow football fans and listeners over in Alberta and Western Canada, because it's just downright fall weather out there. I was like, we're 25 degrees higher than you? What the heck?
Man, that's... Oh, boy. Is it wrong to be jealous? I mean, yes, basically, we're now into summertime. Officially this week, it becomes summer, and high temperatures are expected, but my God, it is sweltering. It is just stifling. The minute you walk out the door, it's like a smack in the face. It's not ideal. I mean, 10 degrees, I'm not going to lie, sounds pretty darn good right now.
Yeah, I'll take it's funny how we're complaining. I'll take a less, I'll take the 30-degree weather. Just keep the humidity low, because right now with humidex and whatnot around 40, 42 degrees Celsius, that's Vegas. That's Vegas weather. It's bad when I walk out of work and all of a sudden you get hit in the face with the heat.
Yeah,
it's like walking outdoors in Florida. So.
Yeah, and for our American listeners, 40 plus degrees, you're talking about like triple digits in Fahrenheit. So
you are, yes.
Just to give you an idea of what it's like, it's not fun. I mean, yes, it's nice to have sunshine, but holy cow, like this is ridiculous how humid it is here in 514.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? It's funny. It may be getting hot, but man, I know we got a lot to talk about. It's going to be hot in Montreal on Thursday because the Alouettes are finally back at home for the first time in 2024 in the regular season. A lot of stuff's going to be going on, including the banner drop, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But we do have somebody this week that we're going to talk about from the Owls who's going to give us a little bit of a preview and a little bit more of a story, though, that I'm sure everybody's going to want to hear about. It was a long time coming, and we're finally happy to have this person on the podcast.
Absolutely. We were so thrilled to be able to be joined by the Manager of Football Operations and Player Services for the Montreal Alouettes, Miss Allyson Sobol. My God, what a great interview that we had, and we're so excited to be able to share that with all of our listeners and viewers. Definitely tune in. We'll be getting to that in a couple of minutes, but my gosh, it was, as you said, Tim, a long time coming, and I'm so glad we were able to make this work.
Exactly. As the Alouettes are coming home, Cliff, at 2-0.
Undefeated.
That's right. Coming home 2-0. It's something that you and I have talked about. It was a very tough stretch. It doesn't matter where we were going. Even if with the Owls being the defending Grey Cup champs, it really didn't matter because it still is. You still got to go and you got to win to these places, but it's always tougher to do it when you're going out to the east, to the West Coast, right? But this team has just come together. And you go back and you watch some of the stuff that has been posted on social media and stuff like that from the team and stuff like that. Watching Coach Moss's post game chat to the team that was on socials was just fantastic. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you do. But dude, man, this is something not normal for the Owls. They come back after having 2 road games to start the regular season for the first time since 2003. It's always tough to be on the road, but they have been able to, I'm not going to say overcome adversity. They've been able to win the games, even if it is earlier in the season. Because I know we've joked before, you don't necessarily win the Grey Cup in July or in June, but you can lose it. So
you sure can. Yeah.
So,
if you're not careful, and I know everybody likes to use the example of the 2011 BC Lions. They started 0-5 or 1-6. I forget exactly what the combination was, but they started off very slow, but then they got their act together and they managed to win the Grey Cup at home. And I'm sure a lot, again, that's always seems to be the one go-to when you're not starting off the season right, is that, well, BC did this back then. Like, well, times have changed. I mean, it doesn't always work that way. So ideally, you go into these games, you got to walk out with a W. And Montreal's been able to do that. They went all the way to Winnipeg and beat the Blue Bombers. Then they go to Edmonton and beat the Elks.
I have to ask, for those who happen to not see this, make a comment on Flightdeck Live 2 weeks ago. Gee, Cliff, why are you calling them in bag?
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers?
Yeah.
Because we got the win. There's no win in Winnipeg. So
currently there is no win in Winnipeg.
That's what I'm saying. Until they win a game, they're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Don't like it? Do something about it, Winnipeggers.
Yeah.
I'm going to have fun with this.
I interrupted your thought. What were you saying?
Yeah. So for the Alouettes to go to these games, and again, that first game against Winnipeg, they were not expected to win. Half of the experts predicted the Bombers were going to avenge their Grey Cup loss, that Montreal was lucky to beat them. And no, look what happened. I won't call it a dog walking necessarily. They didn't beat the crap out of the Blue Bombers, but Montreal was very dominant, and they definitely established that the fact that this team is for real. If you didn't believe they were for real before, I guarantee watching that game, you knew that they were for real. Edmonton gave them a much better fight. Definitely, it definitely felt like Montreal, I won't say got complacent, but at the same time, they did just enough to win, and when they needed to, they stepped up and they made plays happen. But Edmonton arguably gave a much better fight than the Blue Bombers did. So,
in a place historically too where the Alouettes have not won. Edmonton has just dominated at Commonwealth.
Yeah, but the times have changed. I mean, over the past couple of years, Montreal has sort of, gone out there and did their thing and came back with a W. And once again, they did that again. And now coming home to finally have their home opener, to finally celebrate that Grey Cup championship, coming in undefeated, 2-0 to start this season, and just keeping things going. I think that's the key right now, is that this team is keeping things going. They're staying consistent. They're just looking dominant. And the power rankings, I know a lot of people don't seem to put a lot of emphasis on the power rankings unless their team is number one, myself included. But at the same time, you can't deny what this Alouettes team has done so far this season. And yeah, definitely well-deserved. They should be number one in the power rankings. They should be the number one team. They are now the team to beat in the Canadian Football League. And now they get to welcome the Ottawa Red Blacks. They get to unfurl their championship banner. They get to celebrate the win one more time. And get ready, folks, because this team is going to put on a show at home. They are going to be defending the nest for each and every one of you to see.
Yep, exactly. Alouettes come away with a 23-20 win last week, again, as I said, in Edmonton. What can we say about this team, Cliff? Because obviously, it's funny to say a team has overcome adversity so early in the season, but that has been the case with the Alouettes, because we've lost named wide receivers, we've lost named guys on the defense, but as it seemed last year, the same thing is occurring this year. These guys are stepping up. And again, it's next man up, but it's also a very good next man up.
Yeah. And you're also talking about testing this team's depth as far as, okay, star player goes down to injury. It sucks, but every team goes through that. Every team has injuries. What not every team has, though, is someone that can step in when their number is called and perform just as well, if not better. And that's what this Alouettes team had. Like right now, the team's depth is being tested, and so far they're passing the test with flying colors, and that's great. Like if you're an Alouettes fan, you got to be excited that, okay, we lost like a Reggie Stubblefield, we lost a Tyler Snead, no problem. Look who's coming in to replace, and look who's getting the ball now. Like now, who's Cody Fajardo looking for? He's looking at the Charleston Rambos. He's looking at the Cole Speakers. Still got the great connection with Tyson Philpott, spreading the ball around. Oh. William Stanback disappears for free agency. No problem. You got Walter Fletcher. He's been there all along. And guess what? He made his presence felt. He became the owner of Commonwealth Stadium last week against the Elks. I mean, this is a team that, simply put, they get adversity, and every team goes through adversity sooner or later. Yeah, these injuries suck, but at the same time, the Alouettes are, I won't say necessarily built for it, but at the same time, they're prepared. If, God forbid, somebody goes down to injury, there's someone else that's going to come in, step up, and show out. And that's what you want. That's what you want to know is, does this team have the depth? And right now, even though it's still very early in the season, the Alouettes' depth is being tested, but so far, they are passing the test.
Yeah, exactly. Well, just go ahead and give the superlatives so we can talk about what this team was able to do. Cody Fajardo was 20 of 30, Cliff for 269 yards, no interceptions, 2 touchdowns. Leading rusher for the team was Walter Fletcher, 12 rushes, 82 yards, and a touchdown, glorious touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Oh, my. I'm just going to stop you for a second.
Yeah.
We've been giving the gears to Josh Donovan, the rookie tackle for the Alouettes. There's been times where he's looked like a rookie. I'm sorry to say, but he looked like a rookie. He's gotten blown up, and a couple of plays you're just wincing, like, oh god, like somebody, like a veteran would be able to catch that. But okay, part of the learning process. On Walter Fletcher's second touchdown, he leveled a defender with a great pancake block. Oh my word! Like, wow. So it doesn't negate all of the, shortcomings of Donovan, but I tell you what, that's a great way, though, to sort of get yourself back in the good graces of your team. Throwing a beautiful pancake like that is just absolutely outstanding. So
yeah,
I had to get that in there.
No, it's true, because it's true. We have talked about him. We talked about him on Flightdeck Live last week, and we also did talk about it on the pod previously too. So, but I agree with you. But it still, hopefully some things will change. We'll see a little bit more this week, obviously, with the game. But you can always, as you said, you can make up for it very easily in a very short period of time. And that's exactly what he did. Leading receiver for the Alouettes was Keon Julian Grant, six receptions for 89 yards. I have to give some shout outs, though, to the other guys. Walter Fletcher, touchdown for Walter, 61 yards, 3 catches. Cole Loudspeaker. That's what his name is now. I'm sorry. I've given him a nickname. 4 receptions, 42 yards. And it wasn't necessarily a Sports Center moment catch, but that catch by Cole Speaker, man, in the end zone in the first quarter. Holy crap.
Yeah, the concentration, like I think anybody else, that would have been a drop, but somehow Cole had the presence of mind. He was able to sort of just not lose sight of the ball, not lose sight of the moment in front of him, and he was just able to haul that in. And absolutely fantastic touchdown. You're right. Probably not going to make the Sports Center highlight of the night or anything like that, but still a very nice tutty to score. And I mean, you're not. I think if you were to ask Cole, he'd probably tell you that, was that the best catch of his career? Heck no. But my goodness, like as far as touchdowns go, that was pretty nice. That was a nice one to have in the old playbook.
Yeah, exactly. Tyson Philpott also didn't have his touchdown streak was broken this week, but still played an integral part. 5 receptions for 49 yards. It's funny that in your opinion, I know obviously there's getting a lot of plays to KJG in the past 2 games. Tyson, do you think Tyson was used primarily as a decoy this week? Because, as I said, a lot of stuff went to Fletch, a lot of went to Speaker, a lot of them went to KJG. What are your thoughts on Philpott?
I think Edmonton was double covering him for the most part. They had to be, just because he wasn't not getting open as much. I'm sure Cody, going through his reads, had to be looking for Tyson, and if he sees a couple of guys surrounding him or double teaming him, then yeah, he's not going to throw the ball into traffic, not unnecessarily. So yeah, I think it's almost as though like they got the memo that, oh, you might want to cover Tyson Philpott because that dude's going to get open and he's going to burn you. And I think that's really what it was. And okay, that's actually smart. If I was a defensive coordinator and I knew I had Tyson Philpott staring down my defenders, I'm like, all right, you guys figure it out. We got to get a man on him, maybe 2, maybe 3. But yeah, I'm not surprised that even though he didn't have the sparkling numbers, his presence was on the field. And the fact that if he's living rent free in their head, because now they got to, if opposing DCs have to worry about covering Tyson Philpott, you've won the game in that sense. You've mastered the psychological aspect of, okay, they're paying attention to me. And well, that just opens up opportunities for, like you said, the KJGs, the Cole Speakers, Charleston Rambos, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is a good chance for Cody to spread the ball around, get the other aspects of the offense going. And obviously, the Alouettes offensively, didn't miss a step, simply put.
Yep. And then now we have to talk about the defense. I mean, even though McLeod Bethel-Thompson had threw for 300 yards, he had 2 picks and no touchdowns, Cliff. They held the Edmonton's leading rusher to only 50 yards. You just know the Alouettes have not really given up any big plays over the last 2 weeks. But it's just how they've been able, again, they were able to stop drives in such a way. Obviously, we're giving a huge shout out to Mustafa Johnson for that that play on 3rd down, man. And Dakota, and a very good Dakota Pro Cup, who we know how good he is as a short yardage quarterback. He just got, somebody missed a blocking assignment, and he just got blown up.
Yeah, if you didn't know better, you'd swear that Mustafa teleported in front of Dakota Prukop and just right in his grill. I mean, that was a thing of beauty. And like on a 3rd down play too. I mean, that was just absolutely spectacular. You're absolutely right. Dakota Prukop, normally he's the guy that you go to get that short yardage done, and he's a wizard at it. But not on this play, not on this drive. Like, that stopped cold in their tracks. And my God, Mustafa Johnson, I think, is worth the price of admission alone. The dude is just a killer, an absolute killer. And I got to say, the best comment of the night, I have to say, on Twitter had to be our executive producer, who tweeted out, "My moose is better than your elk." And I got to say, bravo.
Bravo.
Well done.
Brava. Or Brahma? Brahma. There's another one. Defense, 3 sacks again this week. Sankey, Bryce Cosby in his first start, and obviously the one to Mustafa Johnson. Give us some thoughts on Bryce Cosby. He did very well in his first game since Reggie Stubblefield went down. Took some penalties that really, I'm sure that they will be able to shore up. But all in all, coming in for the Owls 2023 Rookie of the Year nominee, he did a pretty good job.
Yep. Lining up with Tyrese Beverett and Jeffrey Quentin Arcu. All 3 of those guys definitely made their presence felt. Cosby, overall, I'd say did a very solid job in replacing Reggie Stubblefield. And I'm sure he didn't want that opportunity to come as a result of Reggie getting hurt, but that really is how it goes. I mean, you look back at last year, Reggie Stubblefield, that's how he got reinvited back to the Alouettes and into the lineup, was because a lot of these stars got knocked out, and that's where your opportunities lie. And Bryce Cosby, this is his opportunity now. As we talked about, it's next man up. It's a chance to show what you're able to do when your number is called. And Bryce has done, so far, a very, very solid job in replacing, I hate to use the term replacing, but in relief of Reggie Stubblefield. Any
other comments from any of the other guys from this week when it comes to the defense?
Keep calm and KB on. I don't know how this guy does it. A team's driving downfield and looking to score a touchdown, and KB just says, no, access denied. You will not score. Snagging balls out of the air like that. And Nafis Lyon as well. His 2nd interception in as many weeks. Outstanding. I mean, this guy's really making up for lost time as far as I'm concerned. And you got ball hawks like those guys. How do you even doubt this Noel Thorpe defense? I mean, just on all facets, whether it's in the secondary, the linebacking core, defensive line. I mean, they're just firing on all cylinders. I mean, we've talked about how defense wins championships. Arguably, the Alouettes won the Grey Cup last year as a result of this stifling defense, and there's no sign of stopping. Even when certain players are out, they've got replacements. They've got guys that are able to come in, slot in like nothing happened, and absolutely outstanding. It's definitely a credit and a testament to Noel Thorpe for the work that these guys put in each and every day at practice and on game day. I mean, they show up and they show out. It's very exciting stuff. I mean, as important as the offense is for the Alouettes and making sure that you put points on the board, you got to just do whatever you can to make the opposing quarterback's life a living hell. And I think this Alouettes defense, from start to finish, top to bottom, however you want to phrase it, this defense just keeps hurting people. And quite frankly, I'm here for it.
Start to bottom, top to finish, right?
Up as east, black as white.
One other thing I want to point out, because obviously you can also go to Flightdeck Live and get a little bit more talk on this game itself. I want to talk about the defense, the offensive line itself, Cliff, which is I think is another huge part of this improvement on this team this early in the season. You go back and you look at how many times Cody Fajardo had been sacked last year, just in the first 6 games. Going back and checking these first two games, the Owls are already they're a +6 when it comes to the sacks that they have not given up. So they're not -6. I'll say they're a -6. So they've given up 6 less sacks in the first 2 games versus last year, which is huge. Obviously, keeping Cody upright, and obviously it gives him a chance to get rid of the ball and stuff like that. That's why that's why it concerns us when we have players who seem to have a little bit of an issue when it comes to blocking. But so far, so good.
Yeah, as we said, Josh Donovan, and we're not trying to pick on anyone here necessarily. We have to remember he is still very much a rookie in this league, so we've got to temper expectations just a little bit, especially when you put him up against guys like Pierre-Olivier Lestage, Christian Matt, Justin Lawrence. I mean, these are some solid dudes that have the experience, that have championship experience, and now you got this guy who again a potential diamond in the rough in Donovan, but he's got to take his bumps, he's got to learn, he's got to have his growing pains. And I think that's really truly what it is. I mean, we do have to remember this is only there's only been 2 games played so far this year.
It's like Kavion last year. We were giving the gears to Kavion.
Big time. And it was hard because once again, we've become accustomed to seeing a lot of absolutely outstanding guys in the secondary. And this guy initially it didn't feel like it was getting it, but then the switch flipped and all of a sudden Kavion became an absolute menace to opposing offenses and really came to form to the point now we are excited at what he's been able to do. Never mind his interceptions, just the way he just squares up against receivers and he's able to take them out of their game and just get in their head and just make life tough for them. And if you gain anything on Kavion Ento, you had to earn it. And I guess maybe this year, Josh Donovan is the Kavion Ento for the Alouettes. He's in that spot in listen, we're not trying to be brutal on you, but at the same time, if you're not getting it, you got to get it figured out. And I think the Alouettes are doing their due diligence. They're trying to give them the benefit of the doubt as far as okay, there's growing pains. He's learning. He's going to be fine. Just give him a chance. Give him the benefit of the doubt. So for the most part, I'm willing to do that, especially after that pancake block that I talked about earlier. So you take the good with the bad, I suppose. And I think that's really what I mean. If there's, I don't want to use the term weak link when it comes to Josh Donovan. I don't believe he is, but at the same time, as you talked about, this offensive line, by and large, has done an outstanding job in keeping Cody mobile and upright, making lanes for guys like Walter Fletcher and Jeshua Antwi to gain yardage. It's just little things here and there, and these are correctable things. These are teachable moments as well, and we're just going to chalk it up at this point for Donovan is growing pains. He's learning on the job, and he will get it. So I'm hoping it's going to take maybe by the bye week, he goes home, something happens like it happened with Kavion. He comes back and is like, "Whoa, oh my God!" He cracked the code. He figured it out. That's my hope for him because I see the talent that's there. I see the potential in him. He's just got to, just tighten those things up a little bit and he'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Again, Alouettes are now 2-0. We're heading into the home opener versus the Ottawa Red Blacks, which we'll be talking about in a couple of minutes. But as we teased at the beginning of the show, Cliff, again we brought in a woman this week that we've been wanting to speak with for quite a while. And without further ado, let's now speak with the Alouettes' Allyson Sobol.
Ladies and gentlemen, the home opener finally has arrived, and we are so excited to be at Percival Molson Stadium, and we're also excited as well to be joined by a very special member of the Montreal Alouettes organization. She is the manager of football operations and player services. Ladies and gentlemen, please say hello to Allyson Sobol. Allyson, welcome to the Alouettes Flight Deck.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. So it's finally here, the home opener. I mean, team had to go on the road for the first 2 games, which isn't fair, but obviously there's circumstances beyond everybody's control. It is what it is. But the Alouettes are coming into this game 2-0, when a lot of people were thinking, if you're lucky, you'll be 1-1. So what are your thoughts on this team's hot start?
I had no doubt. We have such a big foundation that came back from last year. We had so many returning players, people that wanted to be with us, people that we re-signed during the off season. And so we kind of went into the season without skipping a beat, which was kind of what I expected. We have people that know our system, people that know all of our coaches. And then the ones that we did plug in different spots fit in like a glove. We are very big on character on our team. So we kept people that we felt fit into our team and fit into our vision and what we're looking for. And because of that, like I said, we didn't skip a beat, and we're playing, I think, our best football right now.
I know it's such a pleasant surprise, especially with how last year ended with a Grey Cup victory. And a lot of people were thinking, is there going to be a Grey Cup hangover? Is this team going to start to falter? Like, was it just luck that they ended up winning the Grey Cup? And I think it's a very small sample size, but I think after these 2 games, it's not a fluke.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's so nice to be able to shut those comments down of, oh, the Owls won because of luck. I guess we'll keep winning because of luck then.
Hey, that's the thing about luck, though. It always runs out. So I think there's a bit of skill involved in this, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. We have some great people on our team. So
one thing very interesting that you said, Allyson, when it came to how this team has been put together, and how you wanted to make sure you kept the core and make sure that these guys get play together, are teammates from within the locker room and outside. Cliff and I a couple of weeks ago were talking about one person who we felt that probably typifies just that idea, is that the Owls have kept him for such a long time, even though he hadn't had an issue with an injury, is wide receiver Reggie White Jr., who will be making his debut for the first time since 2022 versus the same Ottawa Red Blacks, by the way. But it's a very good point from what you said, is that even though Reggie's been hurt for all this time, he has always seemed to have an integral part, and Danny Machocha has always felt that he will continue to be that integral part of this team.
Oh, yeah. Reggie is one of the greatest people you'll probably ever meet, one of the kindest, and he's hard not to root for. You want the best for him, and seeing him come back it brings joy to everyone around him. And we're really rooting for him and hoping he goes out and kills it, because obviously he's going to have those nerves to shake off. But I think he's ready, and I think he's been really eager to get back on the field. So we're right behind him, where we're hoping for the best for him tomorrow.
Especially if he continues that pace that he was at back in 2022. That was just
he's hard to guard. He's a very big body, so he can shake off tackles pretty easily, and so I think he's a great addition back onto the field for us, and I expect nothing but the best from him.
All right. Now, before Reggie, his head gets too big from all these nice words, let's get back to you. How did you get into football? What was it about football that drew you in and made you decide, this is what I want to do 24/7?
Yeah. So I've been playing flag since grade 8. So a very long time now. I feel like I just aged myself saying that, and I'm not even that old, but
right. What, 5 years? You're good.
Sorry?
What, 5 years you've been playing? That's good.
Oh, yeah. I think about like 16 now. Anyways, so that was where I kind of first fell in love with football, was playing flag. I played through all of high school, all of CEGEP. I still play to this day in a league in Montreal. And that's where I really started getting more involved, and I started watching Al's games, primarily with my dad. I went to a few games. I worked at McGill also, so I was always around that atmosphere. And then I went, after I completed my bachelor's in physical and health education, I went and did sport management at the University of Ottawa. So I was very involved in sports, and I fell in love with working behind the scenes in football. In sports in general. And then football being the sport that I love the most. When the opportunity came, I didn't even hesitate. It wasn't in the role that I'm currently in. I started off as the assistant to the president, Mario Cecchini. And then from there, I moved on, and I did a bit of community work with him as well. And then now I moved on to football operations with Danny. So that's kind of where it all started. But my love for football goes back a while now, but really getting into sports started about 5-6 years ago. So.
Was there anything really to get used to once being hired by Mario, and then obviously going on to being under Danny Mac? I mean, anything that you obviously, as you said, you've been playing sports for such a while. You did your stuff at university, and then you come into a pro football franchise. Mm-hmm. What were the things that you really had to get used to from the get-go?
It was a huge change because it was my first full-time job. Just the hours in general of professional sports, they're very long hours. And if you don't love the sport you're in and you don't love what you do, you're not going to survive. Like, some days, the only thing that keeps you going is the love for your team. So I had done my stage with the the Blackjacks basketball team in Ottawa. And so I kind of dipped my feet into pro sports then, and really got a taste of the schedule. So I knew what to expect. But coming into the Alouettes is 10 times the size of the CEBL league. So it was a big adjustment. But I had everybody kind of pushing me from behind, a huge support system from Mario and Danny. They're two of my biggest supporters with the Als, and they want absolutely nothing but the best for me. So they were super encouraging. And Mario, especially so early in my career, trusted me with so many things that he pushed me really to flourish and be able to advance at such a quick pace.
Now, what has been the toughest part of your job in your current role right now? What has been the toughest thing that you've had to do that, and you have to do it because, well, that's what they pay you for?
Yeah. I'd say like the biggest thing is there's just so many little things that have to get done. So like, at any given time, I have a million things on my to-do list that are just small things that will probably take about 5-10 minutes each. But there's just so many that sometimes if you don't like take that day to really just do, like, answer all your emails or just like get everything you need done on that list done, then you're going to drown. And I find that's the hardest thing for me, was kind of figuring out what to prioritize and how to still get everything done at the end of the day, but not feel like I'm working 24/7. So now I think I finally found that balance now, especially now that training camp's done and like we're getting into the swing of things with the season. Now being at home is a lot easier for me personally. It's a lot less planning on my end. So I don't have to do like the flight and the hotels and all that. So this week I was able to breathe a bit and get those little things done that I've kind of not fallen behind on, but kind of pushed to the side to focus more on the players. Because obviously my first role is giving the players what they need and assisting them and making it as easy as possible for them to settle into Montreal. And now that we're done that settling period, I think everyone's breathing a little easier, and especially being 2-0, you sleep better at night.
What's the difference? So, yeah, what is the difference though between training camp and the regular season? I would think as a supporter that there'd be more pressure during the regular season. Is it because of the size of the roster that you have to deal with more players and stuff like that? What's the difference between training camp and the regular season for you?
So I do a lot of admin work. So during training camp, it's getting all the players in, especially this year with the ring ceremony. We had our vets come in a day early, and then our new players came in actually while the ring ceremony was happening. So that was a little stressful. Everyone made it in safe and we were good. And then it's work permits and bank accounts for the players and all their expense reports, SIN numbers, health insurance. So there's really there's a lot of paperwork on my end. But that's why I kind of am able, and it's a lot of preparation for the season as well. The preparation happens during the off season, but in those final few weeks is when I'm settling all the hotels and flights and stuff like that. So that's when there's just a lot going on at once, and everyone has questions about the season, and all the players don't know the city, well, the new players at least. And so there's just a lot of questions coming from everywhere. Get about 200 texts a day, probably about 50 phone calls. So it's a lot during training camp. But now that everyone's settled, they know what they're doing, and the vets are helping a lot to guide the new guys in. So that was the biggest difference, is really all the paperwork and the admin work behind all the players coming in.
And I'm sure it must be a lot easier too that the Alouettes are able to have, they're flying with Nolinor. You don't have to deal with regular, I guess, I just, unless you can correct me, you don't have to deal with Air Canada or anything like that.
No, so we're just with Nolinor. We show up, get on the plane, and we go. We don't have to go through security. We don't have to do anything too crazy. We don't have to interact with the public either, because players get stopped all the time. So that would just delay everything for us. And especially you have a big group of football guys traveling together, people are going to look your way for sure. Mm-hmm. So it's easy this way. We just get into Mirabel, get on the plane and go. So
easy peasy.
Yeah, basically compared to what it could be, of course.
Now, is there anything about your job that you would change, as far as not just the tasks involved, but just overall with what you do? Is there anything that you would like to change for the good, for better, or for worse?
I know it sounds cliche, but I love my job so much. I don't think there's anything I would change. I love every single person on the roster. We have such an amazing group of people, amazing group of coaches. I get to travel all the time this year. Last year I did about 50%, and Eric did the other 50%. This year I'm traveling to all the games, so I get to see beautiful cities in Canada. I really feel so privileged to be in the position I am at such a young age as well, and to have such a huge support system behind me. The only thing I would change is the time change when we go to different cities, but unfortunately that's not just my job, that's the world, so can't change that. But the jet lag, especially after these 2 West trips, it's getting to me a little. Well,
God willing, just to prepare you, we are planning for you guys to be in Vancouver twice. So that's 2 times you're going to have to get used to the Pacific time change.
But that one's fine. That one we're there for a week, so I'll adjust easily.
Okay. I love that.
That's about to say, Cliff. It was, they've been to Edmonton before. It's only an extra hour. What's an extra hour?
And it's a very nice city as well. So beautiful stadium. So yeah, I couldn't complain.
Can't confirm. And they got that big mall, so that's cool too, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously the Alouettes have had when it comes to other women being within the organization, people, they hear about you, and obviously I don't know if do they compare you to, or do they keep you're in the same sentence as Catherine Wright? Obviously she's made a huge, had a huge impact in sports itself, and especially where she is now in the NFL. But do you inspired to be like her, or do you want to be yourself while doing what she has done?
Yeah, I would say more the second. I find it so amazing when people compare me to her. Obviously, it's a huge honor to be compared to her. She's done so much in a very short amount of time as well. And having started from the same place, who knows what the future holds for me. But like you said, I think I appreciate a separate identity from her, and I don't know if our paths will be similar, but obviously she's done great things, and to have my name in the same sentence as her is extremely humbling, and every time I see it kind of takes me back a little bit. So
no, again, it's not about comparison. It's like you got to forge your own path, and I think you're certainly doing that, while at the same time, yeah, the comparisons are always going to be there, as well as with other women in the Canadian Football League who are also doing amazing things as well. I mean, to be in such great company, I think has to be, as you said, a humbling experience for you.
Yeah, all the women that I've met through the CFL are amazing people, very strong women. So it's a pleasure to work alongside all of them.
How do you see when it comes to women in sports in general? Obviously, there's been a huge bump too when it comes to how fans are watching like the WNBA because of what's happened in the NCAA with the NCAA women and stuff like that, and the names that have come out of there. But how do you how, when it comes to women in sports, I mean, they seem to finally be being recognized for what they're able to do. It's not that, oh well, it's a male dominated sport. That's not the case anymore. There have been there are a lot of women in sport, whether it be football, basketball, soccer, baseball, etc., who have really made a name for themselves.
Yeah. No, I think it's so amazing to see. And I was watching every single NCAA game during March Madness to kind of bring up those views. And that's where it becomes important. Everyone needs to do their part to make a want for this and a need for women's sports. And just the development in the last year has been insane, like you said. And flag football going to the Olympics was amazing for me to see. When I played in CJEP, we had to basically like beg people to be on the team. And now there's so many young girls across the world that are so involved in sport and just in football in general and flag football. But to see the development has been huge. And there was a period of time where obviously women were kind of not in football at all. And then there became a period where it was like, oh, we hired our token woman. And now that's not the case anymore. Now people, I feel, are getting hired for the right reasons. And the women that work in this league are all overqualified and amazing women. And they're just so, it really creates a different atmosphere, I think. It's a different skill set that's brought to the table, I think, for certain women. And it's amazing to see, honestly. Like, it almost makes me emotional to see the development, especially in the last year and a half, 2 years. And how many women that I can have beside me. And now it's not such a male-dominated industry anymore.
Not to mention,
obviously
it's not
with the players, but not the staff.
Yeah. And now we're seeing women coaches working alongside with the men, explaining to them things and teaching them, and they're learning as well. I mean, that's got to be massive for someone like you, that someone has grown into it as a former player as well, to see that sort of interaction. That's got to be incredible for you.
Yeah, and just the respect that comes from the players as well. They're so extremely respectful. I don't get spoken different to because I'm a woman. And same for our physios that work for the team. They're not treated any different because they're a woman. The players are so extremely respectful, and they really just talk to you just like you're a person. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever you identify as, they don't care. And I find that's been a switch as well. Even in the 3 years that I've been here, there's been a slight switch in the way that the players interact with everybody. And there's more of a bond created now, obviously, with the way that Coach Moss has decided to run the team. He's made it the forefront of kind of not just being teammates, but being a part of your family, because it is a second family. We're together so often. So there's a huge emphasis on kind of everybody getting along and getting to know each other on a deeper level than just being teammates.
That's it. Football is family. They say it all the time, and it's true. And
I say that without any question in my mind. Every single person on the team is our second family. And you really feel that way this year and last year, where these are people you talk to just for fun too. It's not just like a work basis. You actually make friends that you speak to for the long term. Like even players that have gone to different teams, check in on them once in a while and see how they're doing and stuff. So it's really nice to see.
I think it's funny too. By the way, you said you started off in the CEBL, and then obviously there's another very well-known woman who went from the Alouettes to the CEBL, which is Annie LaRoche. So I mean, the Alouettes are really making a name for themselves, obviously, with these women who have come into the organization and just done great things in sport.
Oh yeah, they know how to hire them.
And also too, once you get that opportunity, you make the most of it, which they have, and you are right now. So it's all about opportunity and what you do with it.
Yeah. And they foster like a growing atmosphere. Danny has given me so much leeway in what he trusts me with. And, oh, you want to get involved in this? Come on in. I can go to any single meeting I want. And he's extremely encouraging and will take the time to explain anything, as well as the people I work with, Eric, PY, and JM. They're all very patient and willing to help whenever they can, and really sit down with you and explain things, and anything that I want, basically I have access to, and they're super encouraging.
Can't ask for better than that, especially if you want to grow your career. I mean, that's...
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They're really they're amazing. All of
So,
them.
so we got us. You're the first person we've talked to since the ring ceremony, and you're not a player, but you're still part of the organization. We got to ask about your little bit of bling that you've been given. Tell us about the experience, because I understand. I read the story today that's been in the press. They're talking about, obviously this is a brand new team. We do have the I guess the final thing that's occurring this week when it comes to the banner, the raising of the banner, etc. But tell us about your experience at the ring ceremony.
So I was actually extremely privileged to be on the ring committee. I was myself, Coach Moss, Danny, our president, Mark Waitman, and 4 players, our 4 captains. And so Danny and Mark kind of started the ring development and stuff. And then we kind of broke down all the details, and Jay Moss and the captains really decided the specific details that they wanted to stick out. There's such a huge story that goes with the ring. Everything has symbolism with it. So the way it was created was so nice, and it was so beautiful to see it come to fruition, like opening that box. And I didn't take a sneak peek. So it was really my first time seeing it in person at the ring ceremony, and just to see the players' reactions, and it was amazing. And actually, Lual got his today, and Eric told me he almost got emotional when he opened the box. And so it was just so nice to see. And that video that plays with it it made it like almost like a magical moment. Like that's something that you replay in your head forever. So it was an amazing experience. Very a lot more work than I thought it would be to get this ring together. We had to get all the players sizing and make sure every name was spelt right and all the plaques were right. And then we checked all the rings. And so it was a huge process, but it was something so amazing to be a part of, and in such an early stage of my career too, to have a ring. And we have so many people that are very young in the organization in terms of like their experience with the Owls. So it was so nice for those people to get a ring, and then people like Christian, Matt, and Danny to get their ring that has been so long waited for. It was a beautiful moment for everyone.
So where do you keep your ring? Is it on a mantle? Is it in a safe? Is it?
It's in a safe right now.
Okay.
Well, I just took it out actually to potentially wear tomorrow. I still haven't decided. I don't know. I feel a little weird about it. I'm like, am I rehashing 2023? Do we move on onto 2024, or do I wear it because we're revealing the banner?
You gotta flex a little here. That's why you got the ring.
That's why I'm like, if not, I'm never gonna wear it,
Now, question: whose bright idea was it to put FYJW on the inside?
Oh, that was a must. That was one of the first things that Coach J. Moss said. He was like, we need to have that. It's also on our like alternative logo, the plane. It's on the wings now in French and in English.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember talking with Cody at training camp, and I asked him, like, what did you think about that? He didn't even know until he actually saw the ring that it was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I thought it was,
that was
incredible.
Cool. No,
so that tells me he wasn't part of the committee to design the ring.
No, he was not. He was not. Yeah, he was. His reaction was really fun to watch too.
Oh my, yeah, it was absolutely outstanding.
So that's interesting to hear, Al. So it's actually on the updated Jet logo for this year. How did you translate a very unique saying into French?
I don't remember the acronym they used. It was VCRC.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you. I'll have to be filled in. So okay.
Yeah.
I will fill you in, Tim. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I didn't really want to say it. Not super appropriate.
We're trying to keep this a PG show at least.
Exactly.
So. Okay, before we let you go, Allyson, let's talk really quick. Home opener tomorrow. If people don't have tickets, first of all, shame on you. I mean, you're going to miss an amazing show. But if there's still tickets available and people are kind of on the fence for reasons we can't even bother to think about, why should people come out tomorrow night?
Oh, it's going to be a show. If you're going to watch one game in the entire year, I would choose this one. We're going to have our banner revealed, got a big halftime show, a great atmosphere. I think our biggest crowd last year was 19,000, and it gets loud. And it's just such an electrifying feeling. It kind of vibrates in your body. And I was saying that the other day, actually, when we were in Winnipeg, they had 30,000 people. And obviously by the end of the game, they were pretty quiet. But even at the start of the game, they were cheering. And it just doesn't compare to Percival Molson. It's just such a nice atmosphere, and it really bowls. So the sound just gets so loud, and our horns that are just so annoying that I love so much. It's going to be a show, and we have a few guys coming back. We have Reggie from injury, so it's going to be really nice to see. And obviously, you want to support your home team, right?
Yeah, of course. And you're gonna yeah, I saw today you'll have the Grey Cup in the house where fans can take pictures with it. You're gonna have the if you talk about something that makes you, obviously the large crowd of Percival Molson, but the flyby that's scheduled for tomorrow, that'll rumble you too. So I mean, you can't obviously it's one of the best things too. It
really is. Yeah, it's true. It's a feeling that you don't feel often in your life. So
yeah, it's going to be electric, and dare I say, it's going to be, as you said, if you're going to go to one game this year, this is the one.
Yeah, my parents were on the fence a little bit because of the weather, because it's going to be very hot. And I said, you can't miss this one. They're like, yeah, you're right, we can't. So they'll be there.
I mean, yeah, you can watch it on TV, but come on, if you got the chance to go be a part of this. I mean, it's going to be amazing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's not many tickets left, so if you want them, you better get them now.
There you go, folks. You heard the lady. So.
If people want to follow you, Allyson, on social, how would they do so? Just to keep up with your day-to-day stuff and what you may happen to be putting on social media.
Allyson Sobol on everything. My name, basically.
Yeah. Doesn't get any easier than that.
Yeah, I got lucky. I didn't have to add any numbers or anything.
Man,
perfect.
Awesome, Allyson, you killed it. You did the thing. We thank you so much for joining us this evening. We thank you for everything you do for the Alouettes, for Alouettes Nation, for everybody that's watching, for everyone that's a part of this team. We thank you for everything you've done and will continue to do going forward. So thank you again for joining us this evening. We appreciate you, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at Percival Molson Stadium.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, guys.
In the way that sports is going on now, Cliff, it is just everybody is becoming an integral part. No matter, doesn't matter if you're male or female. And I think that Allyson just shows that if you have the knowledge, you have the right to be in any position within sports or within any type of business.
Yeah, I think the one thing you can take away from this, whether you're a boy or a girl, a young boy or girl watching football, and you see someone like Allyson Sobol doing what she does, is if she can do it, I can do it. Just like you watch Cody Fajardo out there. If he can do it, I can do it. I want to be like them. That, to me, that's amazing. Like to have people in this organization that are passionate about football and want to help grow this game and make it better. As you said, regardless of the gender, these are people that want to make this a better football team, a better organization. And let's face it, Allyson has been killing it, absolutely killing it in her role with the Alouettes. And it's easy to make the comparisons to Catherine Reich, who also too was a trailblazer, if you will, for not just the Alouettes, but for the Canadian Football League, as far as women participating in, the administrative or behind the scenes, or however you want to phrase it. She basically forged the path. She walked so Allyson can run. And who's going to come in after her? Like, what other females are going to come into this organization and help innovate like Allyson has? That's the fun thing, folks. It's just getting started. And, once again, props to Allyson for everything she's done. We appreciate her coming on to the show. And as always, anytime she wants to come back on the flight deck and chat with us, she is more than welcome.
Exactly. And with that, by the way, we couldn't continue the show if we didn't talk about our presenting sponsor at SportBuff. The guys over there have been a great partner with us. They are including the SportBuff flight crew seats, which we're going to be giving away also next week. But congratulations to the one who won it for the opener. You got to make sure you watch our socials so you can get into it. But also, if you head over to sportbuffshop.com and use the promo code ALSFlightDeck10 at checkout, you'll save 10% off your entire order. So again, head over to sportbuffshop.com, use the code, save 10%. And as we've been preaching for such a long time, you always have to support local.
Definitely. Without question. Support local.
Also, we are on social media. You can find us everywhere. You can find us over on X. That's at Alouettes FL Deck. You can find us at Facebook over at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Don't forget to also on our YouTube page, besides finding the audio version, the video version of Alouettes Flight Deck, you can also find our companion show. It is the Flight Deck Live, which is our post-game show that will be coming to you live. No matter where the game is, you will always be seeing us post-game to talk about the game itself. And being that it is the home opener this week, Cliff, we are going to be on the field at Percival Molson for the first time in the regular season. And we can't wait to bring you the live broadcast, win or lose or tie or weather delay.
Well, let's hope not for a weather delay, but it is certainly possible. And again, folks, we can't stress enough, anything can happen when we go live. I mean, if you saw the preseason show, we had a special guest video bomb us, if you will. Mm-hmm. Will that happen again after the game against the Ottawa Red Blacks? Maybe. Only one way to find out is tune in. So make sure, again, following us on our socials. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure you click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you hit that notification bell as well, so that when we do go live, you will know absolutely right away.
If you happen to miss any of the shows too, you can head over to our archive, and that's our main homepage over at www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. And also, if you're looking to rep some merch of the podcast, maybe getting ready for the second annual Flight Deck get together during Thanksgiving, maybe you want to get one of those Cartoon Bird 56 t-shirts, head over to www.flightdeckgear.ca. Some news came out before we get to talk about the upcoming game versus the Red Blacks, but some news came out from the Alouettes we want to at least mention, along with a couple of transactions. Cliff, go on, let's start with the transactions, my friend.
Well, my goodness, as we talked about earlier, there's so many players that have been able to step up in relief for guys that have gone down to injury. But once these guys get promoted from the practice roster, you got to fill that spot. And that's exactly what the Montreal Alouettes have been doing. They've been wheeling and dealing, making some additions. One thing that they've done, though, is they've released Miles Brooks, and Latavius Brinney, who were able to make the final roster for after training camp, but I guess didn't do it quite enough to stick around with the team. So they were sent packing. In addition, though, as players leave, players come in. So now the Montreal Alouettes have added Titus Wall, formerly of the Calgary Stampeders, to the lineup, and he will actually be making his Alouettes debut Thursday night against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Kind of interesting to me because this is now the third, if I'm not mistaken, former Calgary Stampeder over the past couple of years that has joined the team, in addition to Isaac Adeyemi Berglund as well as Derek Wigan. All defensive players, all superstars as far as I'm concerned. So I'm really curious to see how Titus Wall manages to come into this linebacking core and help out the Tyrese Beverettes, the Bryce Cosbys, and yes, the Jeffrey Cantin-Arcus. Also, too, KD Davis, who was a member of the Saskatchewan Roughriders recently. I was a part of their training camp. Let go, I think he was one of the final training camp cuts, if I'm not mistaken, and now is a member of the Montreal Alouettes. So he'll be given a chance to perform as well in due time. Once again, a lot of moves are being made because, let's face it, the home opener is Thursday night, and you want to put the best lineup out there possible. And we kind of teased about it a little bit, but how exciting is it? Reggie White Jr. is going to be starting against the Ottawa Red Blacks.
I know. I know. I mean, we mentioned that in the interview with Allyson. I mean, for first time since, gosh, 2022, man. It's a long time coming. I'm really excited to see what he can do. To another target. You can only we all remember it took a little while for Tyson after because he came back, he was hurt in training camp, and for him and Cody to get a little bit of a repertoire. We're curious to see if these two, if Reggie and Cody can get this thing immediately, or if it'll take a little bit of time. But yeah, it's one of the, even though he was taken off the 6th game last week, just seeing the depth chart this week, I'm just more than happy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Reggie's been chomping at the bit. He's been wanting to get out there and prove that he still is going to be that top tier receiver that we came to expect out of after the 2021 and even into the 2022 season. We've been pulling for this guy for quite some time, and we're excited to see him back in the lineup. So, you know what? I got a feeling he's going to go off. I don't want to put too much pressure on the young man, especially coming back to his first game action in almost 2 years. But I got a feeling Cody's going to develop that relationship with him pretty quick. And again, if everybody's busy covering Tyson Philpott and Keon Julian Grant, well, guess what? That opens up a Reggie White Jr. So don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if old Reg gets himself a tutty or two tomorrow against the Ottawa Red Blacks.
Could be very, very interesting. Also, the Alouettes, it is something, Cliff, I think that you'll agree that this was a lot of fans and supporters of this team were clamoring for a unique way for, besides the T-shirts and the caps and whatnot, showing that the team was the 2023 Grey Cup champion. They wanted to have a piece of the action, so to speak. They saw the bling that the team got at the at the ring ceremony and stuff like that. But man, the team has come through. They heard what everybody was saying, and the team has decided to go ahead and produce replica jerseys, replica rings for the fans at for a price. For 104, I think it's for $149 plus taxes and shipping. Fans can own themselves a piece or a nice memory of the 2023 season by getting their own replica ring.
Yeah, and this is something we've been seeing now over the past couple of years with Grey Cup winner is the production of these replica rings, and everybody seems to be approaching it differently. My understanding is the Toronto Argonauts, when they won the season before, they had some rings that they were giving to season ticket holders, or if you were one of the first 2,500 fans to enter BMO Field, you were given a ring. Otherwise, you'd have to buy it. The Alouettes, they've decided, okay, you got to buy it. So, I don't know. When you see other teams just giving the rings away, and all of a sudden, Alouettes fans are being asked to purchase these rings, there's a little bit of I don't want to say pushback necessarily, but just kind of well, hold on a minute. Just wait a minute. Wait. How is it that these other teams are able to give these rings away for free, but you want us to pay for the more or less the same concept of having a replica ring? I don't know if there's a right or a wrong way to do it, but just the fact that these rings should be made available for fans is key. And this is something we talked about pretty much from the moment the Alouettes gave out the actual Grey Cup rings, is that the fans should have the opportunity to be able to purchase replica rings as well. We know one was made for one fan that was a grand prize winner to attend the ring ceremony. She was given a ring, like one of those replica rings. So I thought, they're not going to go to all that trouble just to make one ring for one person. Give me a break.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
Like that. Again, that doesn't pass the smell test. Like, they're going to make more rings. They're going to have to. Like, maybe if they don't give them away, they have the opportunity. If people want to buy them, let them. I mean, that's found money for a football organization. And I guess enough people were saying, "Hey, we want to buy a ring. We want a ring too." Well, folks, if you want a Grey Cup ring, a replica Grey Cup ring, you now have the opportunity. Yes, it'll cost you. Yes, some people may say $149 for a fake ring. Like, well, it's not fake in the sense that I mean, it's a metal. It's a I believe it's a gold plated ring, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, which can be taken off the base. We've seen it in person. We saw it at training camp, and yeah,
you could rock it to the game if you wanted to. I mean, or you can keep it on your mantle, or just have a nice little memento. I mean, you could probably make a nice paperweight too. I mean, it's kind of expensive paperweight.
Our turnover chain.
Could do that too. Absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty with a piece of jewelry is you could do whatever you want with it. So yeah, if Alouettes Nation wants to have their own copy of a Grey Cup ring, now is the time. Now is the opportunity. So I commend the team for at least coming through with that. It would have been nice if they had given away the rings, but maybe it wasn't in the cards. I mean, again, these are decisions that are being made by people that are far above our pay grade. So, but at least we have the opportunity now to purchase the rings if we want. And folks, I mean, listen, buying the Grey Cup championship hat and T-shirt, that's great. Whatever championship gear you want to get your hands on, I mean, I'm all for it. I say go nuts. I mean, especially how often does a team really truly win a championship? I mean, it took 13 years for the Alouettes to win this one, so you may as well profit from it. You may as well take advantage of the opportunity and, yeah, go nuts. So if you want to get that ring, you want to get that bling to wear to the game or any social settings or whatnot, hey, go for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, and last thing too that was put out on social media is that the Alouettes boutique have partnered with quarterback Cody Fajardo, and they have produced a limited edition cap. I thought this thing was sharp. It's funny. It's funny. Everything that's old is new again these days, Cliff. But the Owls coming out with this cap that basically has an Owls script. It says Owls and the team logo, and I think it says on the side a Grey Cup champions. And some of them are going to be signed by Cody Fajardo. We don't know how many are going to be available at stadium only starting Thursday. So if you're interested in those or you happen to see those online, make sure I guess it's gonna be like a scavenger hunt trying to find those things, man. I wouldn't be surprised.
Hey, so, first come, first serve. So
yeah, exactly. Leading into that, speaking of the stadium, speaking of being there, buying merch and stuff like that, we got a game. Two teams that haven't met when both teams are above 500 for the first time since 2016, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But then again, we have all this pomp and circumstances going to be happening. We're getting the flyby. Oh, the flyby. We're getting the flyby. We're getting the banner drop. We're getting a halftime show. We're getting more than 20,000 screaming Alouettes fans. And we're all back at Percival Molson to see the Owls play.
Yeah, it's going to be a very high energy, a very emotional night for a lot of people. It's going to be a spectacle unto itself. And yeah, if you haven't bought tickets yet, if you're on the fence, as we discussed in the interview earlier, like, first of all, shame on you. I mean, you should have had your tickets a long time ago. But regardless of the weather, regardless of what's going on, like, the Alouettes are going to be putting on a spectacle, a show for the ages. I mean, if you're going to go to one game this year at Percival Molson Stadium, this is the game. I mean, you got a flyover. You got the halftime show. You've got a championship banner being unfurled. You've got, I'll say it, the hottest team in the Canadian Football League playing the Ottawa Red Blacks. I mean, what more could you possibly want? I mean, are you not entertained? Just the thought of it.
Are you not entertained? Yes, that's what we're looking for. What do you see? What do you see between these two teams coming up, Cliff? Because again, Ottawa looked good last week versus the Ottawa versus the Winnipeg Blue the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That's so tough to say. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They won it in spectacular fashion, obviously, after their weather delay. What do you see? Like I said, this is not. It didn't seem to be the same team that we played during the preseason, where Drew Brown just couldn't do squat. Even though that they had their ones playing against the Alouettes 2s and 3s. Obviously, it was a vanilla offense, but this seems to be it looks like a pretty good matchup. Even though the Alouettes are currently favored by, I think last time I checked, it was 6.5 points.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think this. It was almost like they were playing possum during the preseason. Like, they didn't want to reveal too much because, let people think that this team's going to be bad, because there's questions about the quarterback position. Is Drew Brown going to be the savior for the Red Blacks, or is it going to be someone else? Is this team going to click? There was a lot of question marks in Ottawa before the season got underway, and yeah, they did for the most part look very well against Winnipeg, and simply put, they got the win. They started off remember for the longest time they couldn't win a game at TD Place.
Yeah,
and now they're starting the 2024 season with a home win. I mean, that's, even if it did take a weather delay to sort of stretch things out a little bit and create a little bit of drama, and we like that in the Canadian Football League. We like a little drama, so that's good. But yeah, I think you definitely do not want to sleep on this Ottawa Red Blacks team. They've definitely got some firepower. They've got Devontae Dedmon back and healthy, and that's always a cringe moment, because you never know. It's like James Letcher. You never know when he's going to break one off, and just absolutely dangerous, almost impossible to catch. Dominique Rhymes is looking like the Dominique Rhymes of old, which incidentally was as an Ottawa Red Black. I mean, he went to BC for a little bit, and now he's back in Ottawa, and looks like he's already, it's early, but he's already having a very good connection with Drew Brown. And essentially, if this Ottawa Red Blacks team wants to be successful in 2024, it's going to be with those two guys at the helm. So that's something that this Montreal defense is going to have to contend with. And again, I think they will answer the call and answer it quite well. But I mean, this is definitely not a team to sleep on in Ottawa. I think they got the opportunity to be sneaky good, just like a lot of people doubted Montreal last year, and look what happened there. I think Ottawa has that kind of potential. It's just a matter of how quickly they're going to gel, how quickly this offense is going to start working and putting points on the board. Defensively as well, I look at this Red Blacks team, and there's some nice pieces there, and I think that they'll be looking to give Cody Fajardo all he can handle and then some. But one thing what you can say about Cody is that he's answered the call every single time. Even if it was just 2 games, he's stepped up, and he's definitely made plays happen. Like he's not afraid to try and stretch the field and torch someone going along. So I think this is going to be a very well contested battle, but I definitely think Montreal has too much to lose. They're not going to come out flat. They're not going to be taking this team lightly. I think they're going to come out guns a-blazing, and I would not be surprised to see this game end in a shootout. Like I could definitely see this game with some very, very high numbers, like a lot of touchdowns being scored, a lot of points being put on the board. I think if you like offense, I think this is going to be the game for you this week.
Yeah, it looks to be a very good match. I said, even though it is early in the season, Alouettes are hot. It's just a matter of which Red Blacks team is going to be coming into Montreal. Montreal has won the last 5 versus this club. But over the past couple of years, when there were downtimes in Montreal, Ottawa was the team to beat, and Ottawa currently in Montreal has won the last 6 of 10. But it's 2 in a row for Montreal currently. But still, 3 in a row. It should be a good matchup. The crowd's going to be hype, man, and if they're able to put on a good show, country roads, the Fireflies, it's going to be, I can only imagine what it's going to be like. And if they can actually get this thing above 21,000 or even higher than that, it's just going to be just so loud. I mean, and as Allyson was saying before in the interview, just a huge difference in her opinion. Yeah, she may be a little bit biased, but how much louder she feels Percival Molson can get, even to a place like Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, when people talk about Princess Auto Stadium being one of the loudest barns, if not the loudest barn in the Canadian Football League, and I've been there, I've heard it. And yeah, when those fans are hyped, yeah, it does get pretty freaking loud. But you know what? You could say the exact same thing about Percival Molson Stadium, and I've said it numerous times: is that it may be the smallest stadium capacity wise, and it may feel like the smallest stadium in the Canadian Football League, but you give Alouettes fans something to cheer about, you give them a reason to get loud. They get loud, whether it's with the horns, whether it's just screaming, cheering, yelling, you name it. Like, this place gets rocking. And when they get into the Thunderdome, forget it. I mean, you can barely hear yourself think. And I got a feeling with all the emotions that are going to be running high because of the championship banner being unfurled, the flyover that's going to happen before the game. I mean, I think emotions, I think everybody is going to be just, hyped, beyond hyped. And you're going to hear it. again, I know a lot of people like to bitch complain about the air horns on TV. Like it ruins their viewing experience, which, whatever. I honestly don't hear it. I don't hear it at the stadium. And you know what? If enough people are making enough noise, like clapping hands and screaming and cheering and all that, maybe you don't even hear the horns. Maybe they just become like background noise as well. So, you know what? This is still going to be a very entertaining tilt. I'm really looking forward to this game, if only because, yes, we'll be back in our home sweet home, our home away from home, if you will, at Percival Wilson Stadium. But I think this is just going to be a very fun game and a great way to kick off Saint Jean Baptiste weekend here in Montreal.
That's true. Game will be on at 7:30. It will be on TSN. It will be on RDS. It will also be I think it's going to be the debut of the new extended stats package over on TSN Plus that's something that the league told us about this week. And also for you guys in the US and across the world, it will be on CFL Plus. So it's going to be one great game. And again, post game, make sure you catch all of our socials and find out when we're going to be live for the next episode of Flight Deck Live, where we bring you all the happenings of this game between the Owls and the Red Blacks.
So win, lose, or draw, we'll share our thoughts. We'll let you know what we thought of the game. We'll certainly let you know about the experience of being there live at Percival Molson Stadium. Make sure you're tuned in. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're following us. However it is that you're absorbing this podcast, come along on this ride with us. We want you to be a part of this, and we want you to enjoy every single moment of it, just like we will.
Exactly. So, Cliff, I will see you in a couple of hours, my friend. As I said, back at our second home, and we hope that you will join us not only for Flight Deck Live, but you will also return for the next episode of the Alouettes Flight Deck podcast. So, for everybody here at the podcast, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.